Hello, my name is Zachariah with Old Man Gaming. I'm really excited about this show we have tonight. We don't do streams much anymore, but this is an important one. Welcome to Behind the Door. First and foremost, I want to say this up front. If you have not watched our a Doctor Who Actual Play podcast, I urge you to stop watching this now. There will be nothing but spoilers in here that we are going to talk about, and go watch up the series, then come back to this at a later date. If you have watched all of it or listened to all of it, please stick around and throw some questions up in the chat, because we would love to hear from you. We would love to respond to everything you've got to say, should you have that. And even if you don't, we're going to ask each other a bunch of questions. We just want to talk about it, because it's been a pretty awesome kind of crazy journey. And before we even get started, I want to introduce these people with me and just say thank you to them, because as game masters, anybody who has been a game master a long period of time understands how hard it is to A, finish a game, B, have resolution in a game, and C, have it come off anywhere near as cool as you had it in your mind. And I think one of the only reasons I feel like this is one of my few games that did, and I think one of the big reasons it did is because of the two wonderful players with me. So I want to say a very big thank you for all the crazy scheduling changes, and all of the late night RPing, and all of the interesting sound issues, all the things that they dealt with through this 9-episode actual play. First, of course, Aether Dios, who played the Drifter / Spencer York / my Christopher Eccleston. And then
A little bit.
Just a little bit. And then, of course, Hope Child, playing Bethany Parks, the intrepid nurse. Okay, so welcome to the show. What we're going to do here today is we're just going to spend an hour. We're going to kind of interview each other. We're going to talk to each other. And we're just going to kind of go over everything we did with the show and everything we kind of like were a part of, and talk about, the behind the scenes stuff that we talk about. Just like vamp about the game, I guess, for an hour. If that's all right. And again, if anybody decides to watch this live, I am watching the live chat. Should you want to ask any of us a question, throw it up there. I don't foresee us having a ton of these, so throw it up whenever you want, and I will literally grind the show to a halt to answer your question as soon as I see it. Just remember, there is a little bit of a latency delay when you're streaming these things. So, Bethany, Drifter, welcome.
Hey. Happy to be back.
This was a lot of fun. What do you guys like? I don't know where exactly to start. I have a lot of stuff to talk about, but I don't know where to actually start.
Fun with this. This was a very fun RPG to do and stuff. And again, like you said, Aether, thank you for being my first doctor. And it was super fun because, again, getting to interact with other people, going on fun adventures and stuff, it was definitely something enjoyable to do.
It was extremely enjoyable to watch you guys play it too. I'm gonna go ahead and throw something out here, and I mean this with all due respect. My only one mistake: you guys were absolutely a perfect duo, with the exception that Aether always talks at about a 4, and Hope Child always talks at about a 36. So it was like rushing constantly to mess with the levels. I think was one of the hardest parts technically that I had to go
with the show. So many settings and changes. I mean, for one, how many versions of the game system did we run?
Oh yeah, I'm sure we can discuss. Well, we should discuss that at some point. We ran at least 2 different versions of the game system.
Right.
I personally, I think that's one of the best things about this RPG, or one of my favorite things. Is like, I never felt like the game system had that much had that much impact on the game itself. You know, I almost felt like we could have all just been doing an improv, like at many points in time. You know.
So I have my first question. I think really kind of will help kind of
Do
start
it
everything, and it's going for you, Zach.
for me.
Um,
Okay.
Question is do you feel that you picked the right two people to start the series off first?
Yes, I do. Obviously, my only con was already mentioned. You two's sound levels are very different animals, technically to deal with. But I think you guys, with the exception of that, I think you guys complemented each other beautifully. Obviously, this is my objective opinion. I don't know what you guys thought, but like I knew when I went to start this, the reason that I asked you two is I knew that I wanted the two people that I to play to have some knowledge of Doctor Who, for starters. I needed somebody who was going to be somebody who's gonna be in their head about the Doctor Who, which is why I picked Aether, and somebody who's going to be just the happy-go-lucky companion. And I think that like I feel like I'm putting you guys in boxes. I definitely want to get into the point that I thought both of you your role playing were some of the best role playing I've seen as a game master. And I want to get into that. I don't think that you guys were one thing. I just think for the overall features of both of you, I don't think it could have been better. My only sadness is obviously Drifter gets one season. He didn't start as a companion, but I can assure everybody if we continue with this show, the Drifter will be back. Let me ask a question to you guys, and I'll ask it to both of you guys. What was your favorite surprise of the game? Like, what was your favorite time where you were like, what surprised you? And this was a big one for me because when we got to the end, I was really hoping some of my plot twists had shaken you, and I don't think as many of my plot twists shook you as I thought they had, or as I wanted to. So I really want to know what was like one time that you were like like shocked, and I'll go to Aether first. What was one time that you were like surprised by the content coming at you?
Ooh. See, that's tough. Is also why you put up with me. Is I'll happily metagame out the wazoo in my head and then walk face first into a wall.
Yes.
In commitment. You know what's funny is I did not put together the source inspiration. I felt real. I faked that I had an idea about it, but I was off.
The source inspiration?
Yeah.
What source inspiration? Which source?
The Doctor's wife. I didn't put that together. That reference until like the first I was trying to not metagame after you mentioned it. But I hadn't came into consideration. I was like, I wonder where he's coming in. What direction this is going to come from? Like, I had kind of a bunch of ideas, and that was like the,
yeah, I was really happy with that. I was very proud of that too, because while one of the things I decided when we started playing this right off the bat was that we were going to be in the Doctor Who universe, but we were going to be Doctor Who adjacent. We weren't going to steal any bad guys from Doctor Who. We were going to make our own bad guys, our own mythos, but just within that Doctor Who universe, which is very hard to do because the Doctor is literally in the Doctor Who universe. He's literally in all places and times. But that was the one piece that was directly connected to an episode of the show. And what Aether is talking about is I believe it was episode 7, and it was The Ones Who Survived. And we explain where the TARDIS came from. His TARDIS, his orphan TARDIS came from. And it's the busted-ass broken TARDIS that Matt Smith builds with his lady TARDIS to kind of sneak back in, get the house back, and then but it survives somehow. And that was another thing that, like, the reason that I did that was, like, when I came up with the idea to do, like, a not Time Lord, I was like, where would he get his TARDIS from? Like, it is imperative that you have a TARDIS. But, like, how would you have a TARDIS? They're not just lying around. You know? They're very rare, even with the Doctor Who universe. You don't see them all the time. So it's like even the Master didn't even really have one. Half the time he would steal the Doctor's. So, like, there's not, like, TARDIS is just laying around. How do I make a TARDIS? And if there was a TARDIS, how don't they know about it? And that's when I was like, well, what if it was that broken TARDIS and it just kind of slipped through the cracks as an anomaly, you know? But that's really cool. I'm glad I surprised you with that. Bethany, what time did I surprise you?
That you surprised me.
This is my most narcissistic question, I promise.
I don't think you're narcissistic.
Thousands of internet hours would disagree with you.
I would have to probably say the episode that I think really that I got complimented on, where you said that I did, like, my best role playing and stuff, was when we were in the desert and Bethany was trying to fight her fears.
Monophobia.
And with the way that everything kept just kind of, like, being a mirage to her, I was just like, oh, he wouldn't do that. He's going to actually have, like, actual real people I'm going to be talking to and stuff. And you had it to where it wasn't. It was like, I kept seeing these people and then they were disappearing. And I'm like, okay, seriously? What is he doing to me here? Or, like, I figured I would actually get to see and talk to an actual person. But I think that would be the episode that really surprised me the most, was you having that kind of a twist to everything for that episode.
Well, and might I just say, I think that episode, and I am not throwing any shade on the Drifter and his back and forth with the broker. I think Bethany, your performance with Bethany Parks was well above what I expected out of you as a role player. And I'm not trying to insult you in any way, shape, or form. I think
no, you're good.
The situation I put you in would be hard for advanced role players to do, because, like you said, there's nothing there to really interact with. You had to kind of do it yourself. And I think you did a really, really good job, to the point where, like, the end where you're kind of basically forgiving the broker, and you gave the broker, like, I was never gonna give I was always gonna give you guys a reason that the broker was the way he was, but I was never gonna make him empathetic. And I feel like your role playing took us to that point where he became an empathetic character, like a sympathetic character. And that, like, if I might be so bold, that was one of the times that you as a player surprised me, because you changed the kind of course of a character that I had already pre-developed just through your role playing of other situations. I thought that was really good. Aether, you got a question for somebody.
Ooh. So, one of mine was going to be for you, Zach, of what your main inspirations for starting the game were.
Okay. I love time travel. Like, it's one of my favorite things to mentally play with, but it is probably one of the hardest things to do in a tabletop role-playing game, in my opinion. Then that's number one, is to be able to do a time plot, because, like, I'm always coming up with time plots, but I'm very rarely able to actually, like, do them. You know what I mean? Because time plots don't really work just randomly in D&D or randomly over here. But like if you have a game that specifically has that time travel mechanic already in it, like you can kind of play with that. And I've always wanted to play with time travel. That was number one. Number two is a very crappy reason, which is you get more views if you do things that people recognize, and Doctor Who is a very recognizable IP. So one of the things is we also do a show called Astro Drive. Aether actually is a character on that. It's a good show. We get a good amount of views. We did not get as many views on that as we did this or TMNT, and it was one of those things where I'm like, if I don't just make it a time travel game and I make it a Doctor Who game, we'll get more viewers in. And then number three, I love Doctor Who. I've watched Doctor Who a long time now. It's just one of my favorite shows. In fairness, I don't really watch TV anymore, and Doctor Who somehow I still find a way to watch all the episodes. So like, those three things were the inspiration for doing this game and putting it together and just like kind of doing Doctor Who in my own way was really exciting. Really exciting.
Agree. It was fun. I really, I mean, I got to the point where I really looked forward to, the recordings and stuff, because I was like, oh yes, we get to continue from, the last episode, and this is what happened. And I was really anxious to see what was going to happen. Even though we kind of had the ideas of what the titles were for the episodes, we didn't really know what was going to happen in them. Right. So it was like an anticipation that was a good anticipation, because it was like, okay, what are we going to get to do next?
Well, and that's one of the things I loved about the game too, is I showed you all a episode title list. I told you all before we even started that there was going to be 9 episodes, and I showed you the name of all 9 of those episodes. And I can assure you that not all of them ended even remotely the way I wanted to. The ending of the series was something completely different when I first like conceived it to what it ended up becoming, which was just so much fun for me. So much fun. What was your most fun moment, Drifter, in the game?
Most fun. That's. I'm gonna be very strict on saying fun. 'Cause, I'm torn. I'm gonna say probably. I think just the entirety of Dinosaur Hunt. Just the whole. The whole thing, front to back.
Yeah.
It was a caper, and it was just, and it went every which way, and it was a blast.
It's our longest episode by far. It was like 3.5 hours, I think, of an episode, and I wanted to cut it down. I wanted to cut it down so bad, but like I could not cut any of that content. Like it was just so much in there, like so much. I feel like that episode should have been like 4 episodes, because it was just its own like season of something that was exquisite. And utter milk.
There's just so much to work with.
My favorite part, my most laughed replayed part of the series is utter milk. Especially when Bethany was like, I want to take a bath in it. And then you guys had the stinky, like, there was a whole 40 minutes of that episode is spent just trying to figure out how to get the utter milk to drain out of the bathtub so that you can make your room smell okay again.
What that, like, if anyone wants to watch other things, that's like the essence of, that's like half of all good like Shadowrun games to be, is the escalation of one thing. A lot of the Shadowrun is just gonna be like horrible, like seriousness, but then every other time you have a game, somebody like succeeds in one huge lie, or something happens, and you just keep pushing it. You just keep pushing it, and somehow just you end up in some crazy place. Everyone's like, "Oh, this, I don't know where this is going. Why are we still doing this? What?"
Well,
so good.
The utter milk came in, and it's like, oh yeah, you bathe in it. No, you don't bathe in that. That was awful.
Well, I love too because you, Bethany, were like, because you were like, I'm gonna play up that I'm rich, and we're like, fill a bathtub of it, and they like looked at you like you were insane because you had no idea what you were doing. It was great. The other thing is too, when I first decided to do this, I was like, I'm gonna streamline this to make sure we can get through it, to make sure we're poignant, to make sure we're through the series. So 9 episodes, we're done. No filler episodes. But in Doctor Who, the filler episodes sometimes are the fun episodes. You know what I mean? They're the episodes that don't have any stakes, and he's just trying to deal with some weird alien, or something. With this, because we didn't do any filler episodes, the fun sometimes got like it was just all high stakes all the time. But there were moments like that. That was our filler episodes. The Uttermilk fiasco, was truly one of my favorite. Especially when you then decided to start using it as a weapon. You used it as a weapon against a Bohemian, and then you use it as a weapon against a dinosaur.
And we still almost died like 3 times.
Yes.
We did.
Like, it wasn't just all fun and games. It was everything. So good. I'm gonna go back and watch it again. Anyway, I'm taking a Bethany, please.
Yes, Bethany. Do you have a question? Another question for us?
You have to answer. You have to answer the question too.
Me, the
You're
episode
both
that I
fun.
thought was
Oh yeah,
super,
good call.
Or thing.
I think it would be the one where me and Jeffrey, we were shopping.
Oh.
We had Drifter off running and doing errands and all that stuff. It was just very comical. I think it was very fun to, try and play that role of being rich and, going and skimming through the, catalog and purchasing stuff and all that stuff. I had a lot of fun.
Bad Hands. I like that episode. That was one of my favorite concepts to write. Just like they're going to be copies, but they're going to be AI copies, so their hands are going to be fucked up. Jeffrey, I do also want to point out Dino Hunt, as much fun as everybody enjoyed it, it was also the greatest mistake we made in the entirety of the show, because Jeffrey's name was not Jeffrey, it was Vincent.
No.
It was Vincent for the first half.
We changed it.
Then all of a sudden everybody just started calling him Jeffrey. His dad was Jeffrey, who was the evil guy.
Yeah.
But it's all right, guys, because it's a time travel space epic. So next season, I'm gonna explain why his name suddenly became Jeffrey. Don't you worry. That's the beauty about Doctor Who. I can always make the continuity make sense because it will never make sense. Okay, so Bethany, your question. Another question.
It's actually aimed for the both of you.
Oh.
For you and Ether. So, if you could pick one episode and change something about it, what would it be and why?
That's a good question. That is a good question. I'll let you go first, Drifter. 'Cause that's tough.
Ooh. Oh, thanks. That's a...
Sorry, man, I didn't mean to make it so
That's
hard.
good.
No, it's a good question. It's a good question. Don't knock yourself for it. I mean, apart from the fact that I would really like to go back in time and make sure we all called him Vincent.
We'll retcon it. It's fine. It'll
I
come
mean,
up
it's going to
again.
make a great episode later on.
I'm gonna go with um. Uh, I think I wanted more. I mean, the problem that these are going so long is
Yeah.
I wanted more time in metaphor in Windows to the Soul.
Oh, okay.
I
And
feel
that
like
one
we
was a
ended a
long one,
little.
too.
We smacked into we cut maybe a little quick because we were going so long.
Yeah. Yeah. There was a quick resolution there, because that one was a 2-hour one, if I recall correctly.
We had a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. We had a lot.
Yeah, and we cut off the end. Yeah, at the end of that, I turned my camera off. I had to take a break. That was a lot. Thanks.
Well, I didn't think you'd... I didn't think you'd want that still in.
No, that's fair. Bonus point for all you watching at home.
What would I change if I could change something? This is tough. I don't know. I think if I could change anything, and we'll probably have to talk about it a little bit, is it would change something that I couldn't have possibly changed in the first place anyway. Would be understand exactly what I was going to do with the system and understand the pacing of the show. I think as a game master, I struggled a little bit in the beginning, and I thought my struggling was because single mod was slowing me down. I don't think single mod was slowing me down. I think I was slowing me down. I was kind of treating it like we're all sitting at a table just hanging out playing RPGs, whereas we were trying to do something very specific. So I could have cut down on the roles that I was asking for and just kind of like pushed the pacing a little bit better. And I think so overall, I think the messaging of the show's system was real flawed, because if you're watching it to kind of get an idea of what single mod is as a game, you have no idea how to play single mod, like, whatsoever. It was all over the place. It was all across the board. We started with the original single mod rules with some modifications for kind of a Doctor Who universe. Then we tried to do a narrative version of that, which I think was super flawed, and but it still put us in the right headspace for the pacing. Now I kind of want to go back to the original single mod, just use the pacing that we were using. I wish I had that figured out before we had sat down at the table, because I feel like if there is anything that is truly weak about the show, it is the insane length of the first like 4 or 5 episodes. Like the first one was fine, but like 2, 3, 4, and 5 are all like 2 hours and above, and I just wish I could have like figured that out. You know what I mean? And if you really watch the shows, I think a lot of the problem was me asking for way too many roles and stuff like that, and just that kind of slowed it down, whereas I could have pushed the pace. Whereas Monophobia was the one where it clicked. You know, that was the one where you were in the desert. You know, we had a tight hour and 10 minutes. It was exactly what we wanted it to be. So I would get the thing is, if I could change anything, I would change the all over the place with the system.
Right. And then this next question kind of rolls into that one, Zach, for you.
Okay.
If you had done 3 more episodes with us, what would the names be for those episodes? And would you have any other extra villain?
Oh my God. You are you're not pulling any punches on me here. Hope Child.
No softball questions.
No, jeez. Just write me another third of the season. like yes, end me another 3 episodes of this in my head.
Well, you would have had an even dozen.
I would have had an even dozen. So if I were to do 3 more episodes, if I had 3 more episodes to do with the 3 of you, I definitely would have done some sort of filler episode. Not filler in that it wasn't fun, but something fun. I think the one thing that we lacked a little bit, and I mentioned this a little bit earlier, was that we didn't have an episode that where the stakes weren't extremely high. Like, all the episodes, the stakes are turned up to 11 all the time. Like, it's like where are we now? Well, wherever we are, we have to keep moving and keep everybody alive or everybody dies. So I would have probably done like some sort of filler episode that was a little bit more fun. I don't know what that would be, as it is very hard. Brian can tell because he's been playing with me well longer than you have, Hope Child, but he could tell you I have a very hard time doing low stakes games. I don't think there's any games that I have ever game mastered where the stakes aren't incredibly high, even for level 1 characters. Brian's thinking on it.
No, it's really, I'm really having trouble thinking of one offhand.
Badass Metal was literally a game I created to be high stakes at all times, like nonstop. Like, it's just something I kind of fall into, but I think that the series needed something like that. As far as the other 2 episodes, if I had 2 more, and would I add any more villains? No. I think it was, as far as the villains question, I think it was imperative that Bohemian was, like, the main bad guy. I know that Brian hated the Bohemian with an unending passion. I could tell by the last episode that he was just sick to death of dealing with him. Which is, I'm going to say this, not to get on a rant or anything, but one of the reasons Bohemian was supposed to be, the last episode was supposed to be the final confrontation with Bohemian with Spencer. But I pivoted because Brian was sick to death of the Bohemian, and I could tell. So I was like, I have to have that final struggle and the main bad guy not be the Bohemian, or I think it's going to just degenerate into like a name-calling contest. Like, it's going to get real childish in here real fast. And so that was one of the reasons that the Spencer York... Bohemian's not in Spencer York. He's not in the finale. He's in the episode 8, and then we catch the finale of his arc, and then we move on to the trap that he set, and then the trap that he set is kind of the main bad guy. So I don't know that I would have added another bad guy. I think Bohemian was a really good bad guy. I kind of impromptu added Superior / the Simon evolution, which I think will end up becoming a villain later on, and I never intended him to be a bad guy. But I would probably make Dinosaur... if I had 2 more episodes after that, I would probably just make some of the bigger episodes into 2-parters. I know that's a boring answer, but...
Oh, no, I think that's a good answer, because, I mean, like you said, some of those episodes, it could have been like a to be continued kind of thing.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know how it was going to be with you two. Like, I put you guys together, but, and I thought...
We're just too much fun.
No. It's not that. It's just, I wouldn't add another bad guy because I felt like the crux of the show at the end of the day was the relationship between the Drifter and Bethany Parks. I thought that it really came down to that, and that's one of the things that I liked. Even from episode 1, and if you don't mind, I've been tooting my own horn for a good part of this, but I'm going to toot you guys' horns now for a second, and that is, a big part of this show was right off the bat, even though you guys have never played with each other, you had never even met each other before episode 1, if I recall correctly, or like before the character creation, whatever we did. You guys immediately started to just like, this is what I'm gonna do, this is what he's gonna do, and it wasn't even like I made a joke a couple of times that you guys would just separate yourselves whenever you felt like it, but it was because you guys just instinctively knew what you guys were going to do as a part of the plot and come back, and there was something really beautiful about the way you two played together. And by the time we got to that last episode, I was like, the end of this series has to be about Bethany and Drifter and just their relationship, where they've come from, where they're going, and how it ends. And I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret. I never intended you to be big spoiler for the show. So if you for some reason decided to listen to this show, even though you haven't finished it, stop now. But
a handful of you who haven't seen the last episodes, pause here and watch it.
I never intended Bethany to be the next id. I was not. I've always wanted you to be an id eventually. Never intended Bethany to be the next id. I also never intended the what did I call them? The copper and the having to absorb somebody's kind of essence. I can't remember what I called them now. They're like countermeasures. They're not countermeasures. They're like checks and balances, basically. I never had those either. That was never going to be a thing. The original plan in my head was that the Drifter was part human, so his human side would make him more volatile, and that's why he can't ever be just the Drifter or just the doctor or just the nurse. He's got to completely change his personality every time, like all the way around, because of the human part of him. But as we played more, I was like, no, it has to be Bethany. It has to be Bethany gets lost, Drifter, like she becomes, like, it has to be. And, like, that was never part of the plan. I feel like you two's role-playing through this entire series and the way you guys interacted with each other was just so on point that it definitely made me change. The finale didn't look anything like that before you guys started playing.
We did a lot.
Speechless.
And worth noting, we also didn't even really finish characters together. So everything was completely cold.
Yeah. It was like we just kind of came in with our people and we're like, okay, here we go. Just slap them together.
Yeah, I was very impressed. I was super impressed at all of you guys' choices too. Just like, there were so many points where, like, it would have been really easy for you guys to, I don't want to say to be selfish, because normal players are kind of selfish with their characters just normally. It would have been very easy to be selfish in the way that, like Bethany deciding to kill herself all by herself. I did not have to lead you to that. I did not have to, like, bring you to the water. Like, you were like, I gotta off myself or this thing wins. There are not a lot of players at role-playing tables that immediately are like, oh, I have to end my character to survive this, you know? I've seen that maybe 2 or 3 times in my entire career. And, like, that was pretty impressive. I think, Drifter, the way you gave the information back as a refund during the broker thing to get Bethany back was like, I was like, he's gonna find a way to try and, like, keep this, you know? And, like, but, like, in my head, I'm like, here's what I want to happen. I want the Drifter to give the information back and pick Bethany over the information. But, like, I always felt like I was taking a risk because, like, the players that I play with, they're not going to do that. They're going to try and find a way, you know. The same with the Bethany. The last episode, I told you guys before we started recording it, it was the biggest risk I had ever taken as a game master because I really needed Bethany to figure out that she had to try and kill herself. Like I needed that to happen, and that's not a thing an average player is going to immediately think about. I think the same thing with some of Drifter's choices during that, as far as figuring things out, was just like, I don't know, it just worked so perfectly because you guys made such great choices, you know?
I just really enjoyed playing her because, again, I played her as the character I built her to be.
Yeah. Yeah, you both did.
I want to clarify that I myself have no problem with the Bohemian. Spencer, of course, could not stand any of it, and it makes perfect sense at the end because it's him.
Right.
It's everything he hates about himself, and, like, sees it immediately. Like, I feel like some part of me subconsciously was like, "Oh yeah, Spencer's gonna freaking hate this guy." It's just everything about him, just everything is, and like, And I'm like, oh, okay, it works.
I thought your role playing on that was great. It pissed me off sometimes, but it was so much better towards the end when you realize that Bohemian is him. That like, oh, no wonder he fucking hates this guy. You know, it's that it also speaks to the humanity, the self-loathing kind of gene that every human has, and I think that like that just like it just hit because I wanted these like big back and forth between you, and sometimes I would get mad because I'm like, oh man, Ace is just throwing rocks at him, but like then I thought about it. I'm like, no, that's perfect. That's absolutely perfect. It was one of the times that your role playing truly surprised me because you would be like, oh. This, of course, he hates this guy. He's looking in a mirror at what he becomes, and he's this douchebag. Like he hates it, you know. And I thought it was really good by the end. I love the
girl that becomes a beach bum.
Yo, dude.
Worst.
I gotta kill you, bro. Yeah, Bohemian was fun for me. I think that. If I manage to get the seasons done of this that I want to get done, Bohemian will make a lot of sense by the end of it. But like, who knows? That it's one of the things that I just love. And again, I thank you guys for helping me do is the fact that like, if I never play another id episode, if we never play another season, this season was perfect for me. Like, it was like a perfect resolution. It was a perfect plot. It was a perfect story. I'm not saying I don't want to play more, and I'm not planning on playing more. We are definitely planning on a second season. But it's just for me, it was like, oh my God. Like, it's almost picture perfect. Like, I never have to do anything else, and everything is resolved to a point where you could be happy with it, you know?
Right.
There's definitely avenues we could still go down. Again, I'm hoping to go down, but yeah. God, this has been really, really fun. Just talking about this game. And how often do you get to finish a game? Let alone, vamp about it for 40 minutes,
So I have another question for Ethan.
Yes.
You get a chance to do another season of this, would you want to play again the doctor part of it, or would you more lenient to wanting to be that companion?
Ooh, I've actually thought about this a lot. So Zach had said before about of people coming back and mixing things up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, I wonder how I would do that. And I'm definitely open to a wacky... We have many opportunities for wacky crossovers. It's almost fundamentally required.
Yes.
I'm not sure about... I would have... And I kind of accepted... I'm not sure if I'd come back as a companion because... I want to... I really want to be in a place where like I can like separate myself, like the drifter from the other character, and like very clearly define them, and not just kind of like, "Hi everybody, I'm back. I'm just the same thing in a different suit." Like, no. I want to have it like really, just have something really to work with. I just have to think about it.
I
don't have an answer yet.
I could say this: anybody who plays id, you are contractually required to do silly crossover stuff. Like, don't ever think you're done. There's gonna be some 2 and 3 doctor shit that we do for certain, without a doubt. I think that you'd make a great companion. One of the things that's interesting that you guys made me end up writing myself in a corner with that man, I do not... It is a word that I used 1,000 times in those last 2 episodes, and I cannot think of it right now, and it is driving me absolutely bonkers. But the fact that he has to kind of like take the, not the soul, but take the genetics of somebody he fails. Now I have to figure out how to do that every fucking season from here out. Because every time he regenerates or she regenerates, every time they regenerate, I am going to have to be like, okay, all right, at some point throughout this season, I've got to make sure that they touch a person who's dying.
Listen, if you give everybody 9 episodes of stakes like this, they're gonna have a whole list of people.
Yeah,
they've let down. That,
but it has to be the person that I'm gonna make the next. The next.
Yeah.
It's not as simple as just a dead person. I need a dead person that, like, if Wiz plays ID in the future, I need a dead person that resembles what Wiz would play. I have to somehow predict his ID to the point where I kill a bystander.
yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, dude. I figured out how I'm going to do it in the second season. After that, I have no fucking idea, because I certainly can't kill the companion every goddamn time and make the companion drifter like every time.
Right. Oh, gee.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, man.
So then I have another question for you,
God.
Zach.
We should have let Hope Child host. We should just let Hope Child host this bitch.
Question, okay?
No, you did. You did great. I'm not. This is a compliment.
So,
your questions are filling up our hour without any problems whatsoever.
So, in later episodes, are you, as a GM, with everything and stuff with storyline going on and stuff, would you ever think of having more than one companion with the Doctor?
Yes, definitely. I have thought about it many times. Both an NPC companion. So, man, I don't want to give too much away, because a lot of this is like future plan stuff. Because, like, I have to have a concept for all of this. That's the fun of the time plot, is I have to kind of at least make it look like I knew what was going to happen the whole time, you know? Especially since the Bohemian. Basically, I've set up the Bohemian, so that means I have to make the Bohemian make sense in the next 5 seasons. So
I mean, it's more of like not just so much just like second, like, so you have like me and Ether. Would you add a third player?
I would definitely be willing to do that.
You would have like 2 companions, and then you have that Doctor.
That will probably happen. Probably at some point. I don't know exactly when. The people I would like to make my cast next season, I don't necessarily want to reveal them, just to make sure. I mean, obviously, you know, one of them is Hope Child, everybody, but I believe the person I have chosen as the companion needs to kind of listen to the rest of the episodes and then decide if this is when they want to be a part of it. But I think it's going to be a 1-on-1 next time as well. But every season after that is up in the air. Like, I am very willing to do like a big season or a big amount of canyons. I would never do like Jodie Whittaker's season and do like 4 companions. I think that's overkill.
No,
I think the maximum amount of companions I would want is 2, maybe with a third possible NPC running around. But I would never do like 4 players. You know, I would never do that in this. I think it needs to be more intimate, and it also needs to kind of keep the pace driven. So I think every time you add a player, you're going to add about 15 to 20 minutes to your playtime, no matter what you do. So I think that maximum we'd be able to do really is 3. Unless we're doing like a blowout thing. And trust me, there's some blowouts planned some blowout crossovers planned in the future. But yeah, so yeah, I would definitely do more than one companion. I would almost say that it's guaranteed, if this series continues, that we do more than one companion eventually.
Hey Zach, I have an idea.
Yeah, hit me.
If you need one of those Tenet era companions that really shouldn't have been brought along and only make it through the episode at best, that I can do.
Oh, Okay, all right. We've kind of ruined it though. That people are gonna be like, "Wait, Aether's the companion. He's gonna die." He said he was gonna die.
I should just come in once a season as some random NPC, and then see if everybody thinks see how many people think I'm going to make it through the episode or not. Take your bets now, for I'm going to be the Sean Bean of the rest of the seasons.
The Sean Bean. That's great. Yeah, I would be down with that. Like I said, I have a lot of crossovers planned. I think the thing that I really want to do, if this is a little, because I haven't shored up that I can do it, but I really want to do a Christmas special this year. So we will see if I can make that happen, just because of the amount of time and effort we will have to put in before Christmas. But like I'd really like to do a Christmas episode and then the next season next year. But I have refrained from making promises on this channel anymore, so I will make no more promise. At this point in time, you must be happy with this. I will promise everybody this, though. I do not post these things until I am done with them. So if you start seeing a season 2, you'll get a season 2. We're not going to just drop it halfway through. Do you have any more questions, Bethany? You did really good. Those were great questions. I'm not gonna lie. I no joke. We should just let you host the thing. I just want to go down the line, get everybody's final thoughts, because we're about to hit the hour. I think it's a good place to wrap this up. We've all talked about the game for a while, but I just final thoughts. Anything you want to add? I'm gonna go from the top down. So Hope Child, any final thoughts?
Final thoughts. I want to say thank you for picking me to be one of the players. I really have enjoyed doing RPGs with you and other games as well, but this one definitely got to let me bring me out of my shell and think of another character and play a different role. I look forward to maybe doing the upcoming season and seeing what new adventures we have coming available.
Aether, final thoughts.
Yeah, I was not expecting to get to do this originally. I was looking forward to watching it, and thanks to Hope for playing up the necessary sunshine to my rain cloud and keeping things moving, and has been great doing the game with you.
Thanks.
And thanks, Zach, for rooting me on other games.
It wasn't that good.
Oh yeah, sure. Let me go back. Hold on. Let me go spend 3 weeks with a calculator writing up something to spend 10 hours on combat. I look forward to that again. That's definitely not a Zach game, by the way. That's other things.
That's definitely not a Zach game. Since I get to talk last, I'm going to just go ahead and say right off the bat. First of all, one thing that is wrong about what you said, Hope Child, is while Bethany did allow you to stretch your wings, you definitely both share that sunny disposition that Aether was talking about. And we both appreciate you bringing that. And I think your role-playing is absolutely phenomenal in this, and I really look forward to seeing what you do as Id in the future. Drifter, your role-playing with this was phenomenal as well. You were great. You had that knowledge of the First Doctor. I cannot thank you enough for metagaming shit out and then walking into a wall on purpose. There was so many times where I could just see the wheels turning in your head, and you're like, nope, my character would be stupid about this, and then you just did the stupid thing anyway. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate that as a game master. That you did not just immediately see some sort of weird quasar time vortex way to ruin everything for me. And thank you for being my Eccleston, man. And I promise you I will not do the Russell T. Davies thing. You will be back. You will be back eventually. Russell, give Eccleston his return. Come on now, all right? He's the forgotten doctor. Give him the crossover we all been waiting for.
And not just a Big Finish special, all right? Like a whole thing.
A whole thing. Bring him back for at least like 2 episodes. You gave Tenet a second run. Tenet had plenty of episodes.
It was good.
It was great.
But
Eccleston, though. Let's see Eccleston. All right. And then as for me, my final thoughts, I could not have been more happy with you guys playing this. I was very concerned with the fact that you had never played with each other and you had never even met each other before we played this, and you both did so utterly phenomenal and blew my expectations so far out of the water that I literally had to change the storyline multiple times because of it. And for the better, it allowed the story to be a much more interesting and character-driven podcast between the two of you, and I thank you both so much for doing that. I also thank anybody out there who is still listening to this weird circle jerk of a podcast. I appreciate you so much for listening to the entire series, letting us vamp about it. We've had so much fun bringing this to you guys, so much fun bringing this into your homes. We look forward to bringing more shows into your homes in the future. So, without further ado, I don't think. Do you guys want to plug anything? I mean, it is a podcast episode.
I would love to plug, of course, my business, Creative with Love. You can find me on Facebook. I dabble in a little bit of everything. I do the stainless steel tumblers. I do wind spinners. I like to do a lot of personal gifts. So check it out on Facebook. Again, that is Created with Love by Jackie Rakes. If you see anything that you're interested in, shoot me a message, and we can definitely see what we can help you get figured out.
Modeling my cup right now on the camera. Aether, anything you'd like to plug, sir?
Her tumblers are so nice. I want to make some pointed joke about various podcast sponsors, but I think that could ruin them being sponsors later, so I'll hold off. And you can see me in Astral Drive, and definitely get Hope Child's tumblers, which look awesome, and watch our subsequent seasons and show this to your friends.
Yes, please do. You can also see Hope Child. She is also a TTRPG regular. She is on TMNT, our monthly TMNT stream. And of course, she will be on any future seasons of this that we may or may not do. And then, thank you to both of you for doing this with me. Thanks to everybody out there. We're gonna wrap this thing up. You guys can contact us on Facebook at OmegaGamingDH, on Twitter at OmegaGaming9. You can join our Discord, links in the description below. Influence this in all of our shows from there. You can also buy our merch should you feel so inclined at wizardsrestbite.com. Go to the shop tab, and there is a little secondary tab for Old Man Gaming. As long as you guys keep watching and listening to these, we'll keep making them. We'll see you guys next season, hopefully.
Bye, guys.
Bye.